All right, can you talk to me, please?
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Game Smash Podcast. As always, I'm your host, William Liberty, and with me is...
Boaz Muhammad Yusuf.
And today we got some stuff. We got PlayStation Plus and Games with Gold. We got Titanfall 2 DLC. Frontier Defense Mode. We got new Monster Hunter gameplay shows off the weapons and all its glory. 14 weapons. Frank West, Nemesis, Spider-Man are revealed for MVC Infinite. DBC Beta delayed. Pokemon Go Legendary Event Disaster. And then Overwatch first batch of teams revealed. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we played this week. So I really didn't play that much. I played a bunch of more of Dead Cells because it's just a really great pick up and play game. I did pick up Pyre.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Which is the new Supergiant game that I've been super excited. Been really wanting to play for a really long time, and it's interesting. I've only played an hour, so it's kind of hard to gauge how I feel about the game as a whole. Well, first off, right off the bat, the art is fantastic. Just, Supergiant always knocks it out of the park every time with their art. And the music is gorgeous. So they've pretty much nailing those two things right out of the gate, but they're pretty much known for that at this point.
Is there a narrator with a deep voice?
There is a narrator who is not what I expected him to be. He sounds like a nobleman. And he sounds like a posh kind of king, He narrates the Pyre battles, I guess is one way to call them. And he's always like, life is fleeting and all this means nothing. And it's like, you may try as you will, but it will mean, he's kind of like, he's being kind of dramatic and over. It's kind of hard to describe how he sounds, but he's not like a low, deep voice like all the other games. Although, surprisingly, it's the same voice actor.
Really?
Yeah, so I think it's tradition that they're just going to only hire one voice actor, or like that one voice actor is always going to be in every single game they make.
Yeah, he's the Lucky Charm. He's like, what's that guy's name? The guy that voices the pig.
Yeah, I forget his name, but yeah, that one, the Lucky Charm of Pixar, yeah, that voice.
Yeah, he voices the pig in Toy Story. He's literally in all of their movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm guessing that's just what they're gonna do with this guy. He's gonna be the Lucky Charm. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
But yeah, the game's pretty good. It's got a lot of depth to it. Like the actual Pyre battles are pretty interesting because it's, what it kind of feels like? It feels like a story-driven game in which you're blitzball players.
I do it. I was thinking blitzball, but I didn't want to say it.
That was the first thing that came to mind when I was like, so it's interesting because it's like it plays a bit like a sports game with some RPG elements to it. But it's interesting because I've never seen like a sports game with this much story and like world building, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it's very weird. But the writing is really good, and I like all the characters. And I like that it feels a little bit more RPG-ish in which you can interact with the characters in different ways. Like, some of the things about the Supergiant games, that they're usually relatively linear. There's not really many branching paths. But this seems like there is going to be a bunch of different branching paths, and I think there might actually be more than one ending to this game. So I'm very curious how that's going to turn out. Also, there was a moment that made me laugh. This game does have a pretty good sense of humor. There's a part in the game early on where you meet this girl, and she's like, "Hey, can I join your group?" And you're like, "I don't know. Sure, why not?" And she's like, "I don't know my name, but I know it rhymes with gray, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And then the game just opens up this giant menu of names that all rhyme with gray, right?
Okay.
So it's like Shay, May, Faye, so on and so forth. And there's like a little description of like, oh, it could be this, or that sounds just about right. And at the very end, there's Bay. and and the description is it's like, no, this couldn't possibly be it. So it's pretty good overall. Really enjoying the game. Like it so far. But
Okay,
what about you?
so you were talking about the sports game with the story mode. So I just have to ask you this one question.
Okay.
So far, what are you preferring, this or freaking and vibing?
Yeah. Oh my God, did you play that?
I played that. Well, I skipped through. I mean, come on, you know me. I skipped through like half.
Freaking and vibing, freaking and vibing or vibing or thriving or whatever is a special kind of story that's so bad that it's kind of amazing, and like I can't even describe like freaking when ghosts start getting involved in the plot is. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
The only good thing about that plot was the mother. You see the mother's voice actress? Absolutely stunning. Beautiful, beautiful lady.
Yeah.
I was gonna say beautiful young lady, but she's like probably old enough to be my mom.
I will say this though, is that some people pointed out that your girlfriend in that game, Freak's girlfriend, they just butchered her. Like
Yeah, they butchered her.
She looks like she's from a Dark Souls created character.
Yeah, the actual actress is absolutely stunning. But then the conversion. By the way, we're talking about NBA 2K16 for those who haven't caught on yet. But yeah, the actual character is in the game is horrific.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I played this week. Well, today actually, because Doomfist launches today. So.
Ooh.
So I start playing Overwatch, and I'm just playing for the, I'm like, whatever, I'll just play some games and get angry. You know how it goes.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Then I finished my first game, and then there's like a big statement. It's like, oh yeah, you gotta update the game. I'm like, ooh, baby.
There he
so
is.
then update the game. But you know what? Here's the thing. Like I knew exactly how today was going to play out. So I wasn't really like disappointed. I was just like, well, this is exactly what I expected. So pretty much this is how it's gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's you can play there's a special mode in arcade mode, 6v6 Doomfist, but it's like an arcade mode mode.
Yeah.
So it's single elimination, and then it's 6 Doomfist, so no healing, right? So it's not very fun. I played it twice, and I was like, okay, that's enough of that. Then I played like actual, because he's disabled in comp, because that's what they do with every new hero.
Mm-hmm.
They're disabled for like the first week in comp. Should be longer if you ask me, but what do I know? So then I went into quick play, and I was like, okay, cool, we're just gonna play Doomfist Roulette, and unfortunately I didn't win. Because that's pretty much how it goes, right? Whenever a new hero comes out, even Orisa, like for the first day. Every game you went into, immediately the first person to get into the game auto-locked Orisa.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see, because like Orisa and Sombra, like, and I think even Anna, like a couple, okay, Anna came out with zero, no, she came out after 1 hero limit. When Anna came out, there was there was 0 hero limit in quick play.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So with Sombra and with Orisa, like a day after they came out, people stopped auto-locking them because both of the characters are just very clunky to play when they launched, right? Orisa is still pretty clunky to play now. But Doomfist, it feels good. Like I played him for a little bit in the 6v6, and he feels fluid. I think he's gonna be very difficult to learn. In fact, I think he's similar to Genji. Now, I don't want to say similar to Genji because I feel like when it's all said and done, they're going to play completely different. But he's similar to Genji in the sense that he's very, very mobile. But unlike Genji, okay, he's not half as mobile as Genji. He can't wall run. He has a gigantic hitbox. He can't double jump, and he has no way to mitigate damage. He has no deflect, right? So he's not as. Ironically enough, he has 50 more health, but he's squishier than Genji somehow.
Yeah, no, I could see that.
Yeah, so he's not, because Genji, first of all, you shouldn't be playing Genji this way anyway, but like Genji, people kamikaze with him. They dash in, use their deflect, and then they die because most of them are incompetent. But you get my point, right? You can enter with Genji and you always have the escape, right? But unfortunately with Doomfist's main way of doing damage is his punch, right? So I don't know, it's gonna be interesting to see how people. I think even with the punch off cooldown, he still has decent escape. So I don't know, we'll see. I spent most of the day playing Zarya because there's a bunch of changes too, right? So I played Zarya. Now, I can't really test the Zarya change, because it's just okay. It's not visible to me, right? Because okay, before I catch a Reinhardt in my Graviton Surge, and he wouldn't charge out because he'd either have to shield his team or his charge would be on cooldown, right? Now I catch him, and I'm like, okay, well, he's still not charging out. So,
yeah.
So, and then the Reinhardt change is really it's not visible. It's like a 10% swing change. You can't actually see that, and then I didn't get to play McCree, and then the Reaper change is also not really, it's literally invisible to me because the only people that notice are the enemies. So I couldn't really test out any of the new changes, but all in all, it should be interesting. The servers are shit right now. That was the other thing that I was expecting. Servers are shit. You try to get into a game, it takes very long. I hopped from Lijiang to Nepal to Oasis to Horizon, I think, in the span of a couple of seconds. So
Jesus.
that was interesting. Took me all around the world and then took me to the moon. So that was.
It was like we can't find a map that's available on Earth. You're going to the moon.
Yeah, pretty much. One last thing, because I don't want to talk about this for too long. Because when I play comp, I'm pretty much locked into playing Reinhardt or Winston, because most of the Reinhardts and Winstons online are incompetent. And then, most people don't want to, because most people don't want to play tanks. And then the few that do are not very good at it. So I'm like, whatever, I'll play tank. So because of that, I haven't been playing Zarya a lot. And then a couple of weeks ago, I went back to playing Zarya. Keep in mind, she'd also gotten nerfed.
Yeah.
And was just struggling. It was pretty bad. I finished the game with 8% average energy. It was embarrassing. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to stick to Zarya. I'm going to keep playing Zarya until I figure this out. Because at the end of the day, I play this game for me first and foremost, and I like playing Zarya. So the rest of y'all can eat shit. So yeah, I started playing Zarya, and I've gotten a lot better. So that's good. Because I got worried for a second there that I was like, is it that I just can't play Zarya, or that Zarya is just bad now?
Yeah. No. There's certainly heroes that I feel the same way, where it's like, is it the hero that's bad, or is it just I suck? It's like you kind of you have to sometimes it's like no, it's I can't play this hero. It's not that the hero's bad, I just can't play it as effectively.
So I just had to step my game up, and because I was just bad bubbles out the ass. I'd be throwing away my bubbles. I wouldn't be using them in wise situations. I just wouldn't get energy. And then once you can't get energy, she's a snowball character, right? So yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that. Overwatch. I'm gonna try and get footage up for you guys on the channel. Hopefully by the time you've heard this podcast, there'll be footage of Doomfist. But it's gonna take me a while to get into a game where someone doesn't auto lock Doomfist. Funny enough, the game where I finally got in where I could pick Doomfist first, everybody else picks. 4 people pick DPS, and then 1 person picks healer, and I'm like, shit. So then I switched to tank. I should have just stuck to Doomfist because we lost that game anyway. Man, there's a bunch of idiots. Anyway, let's not get into that. In more positive news, we've got the PlayStation Plus and Games with Gold for the months of August. For the month of August. So it's actually it's a bit of a down month for Xbox, but a really good month for PlayStation. So the games with gold are Slime Rancher, Trials Fusion, Bayonetta, and Red Faction Armageddon. Now Bayonetta is hands down the highlight of this month. I would actually kill to get Bayonetta on the PS4. Unfortunately, even if I would have bought it on my PS3, but the PS3 version of Bayonetta is garbage, poorly optimized, as were most games on the PS3. But that's another discussion for another podcast. It's a pretty shit month though. Let's just call it like it is. The Xbox One games are kind of average, and then the highlights an Xbox 360 game.
Yeah.
PlayStation Plus, on the other hand, really stepped it up this month. So we get Just Cause 3, which is like a full-fledged AAA title.
It's a good sandbox, just a good sandbox, blow everything up kind of game.
Pretty much. Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, which I believe was a standalone expansion for Black Flag. So maybe in 2019 we'll finally get Black Flag. Sorry, that was underhanded. The rest of the games I don't really know. Super Mario Load, Snakeball, Downwell, and Level 22 for the what's this? A Vita? I've actually never heard of that.
Vita.
But yeah, pretty good games. Just Cause 3, I'm probably gonna check that out, and Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, probably gonna check that out as well. Probably Freedom Cry more so than Just Cause because like I still need to finish Persona, and I still need to start Divinity, and a couple of other
Yeah.
games are coming out in August. So like I don't really need another long game in my
In your life, yeah. It's the
yeah.
struggle. It's the struggle, man. I feel it. Like I've been meaning to try and beat because I haven't even gotten the multiple endings of Nier Automata yet. I got ending A and then they just sort of stopped because I went straight to Persona.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to go back and get into the ring of things, and now it's like, oh god, Pyre just came out. Well, now I gotta beat that, and then I can go back to Nier, and then Overwatch has a new. So yeah, it's the struggle, man.
First world problems. But so yeah, Freedom Cry, which is a shorter standalone game, I'm more excited for than Just Cause 3, which is a big sandbox game. I'm gonna download both though. So, maybe this time next summer when I have nothing to play, I can just go back and pick up Just Cause 3 and try it out or something. But all in all, a really good month. Hats off to Sony. They've had a string of really shit months. So I'm glad this is a nice bounce back. Let's see. Let's see if they can keep the momentum going into next month. Probably not, but you know what?
We'll see. We'll see. Speaking of bouncing back, Titanfall 2 got some sick new DLC, Frontier Defense Mode. So this is basically a horde mode. It's a 4-player co-op mode for Titanfall 2.
Yeah. So Frontier Defense was in Titanfall 1, but this looks a lot more fleshed out than the version in Titanfall 1. There's like specific enemies for Frontier Defense. You can get specific weapons and upgrades for your Titan. There's a lot of cool stuff in this. So like hats off to Respawn. They've been keeping up really really solid support for this game. So like yeah, this is another game that I want to get back into whenever. Honestly, the thing with me is I'm very lazy, right? And I'm also very momentum based. So once for like look at me with The Witcher 3, right? I played The Witcher 3 for like 20 hours, stopped playing it for like a year, and then came back and finished the game like a year later. You know. And that whole year, I was like, one of these days I should get back into The Witcher 3. One of these days I should get back into The Witcher 3. And then one day I just got back into it and I finished it. So it's probably going to be the same thing with Persona. I bought it in late April. I played it till like mid-May. I haven't touched it in almost 2 months, almost 3 months. And then one of these days I'm just going to pick it back up and finish it. I mean, I guess Titanfall 2 doesn't follow the same line of thought because it's multiplayer. But yeah, I might just put it back in one of these days and just like get back into it,
Well, this DLC honestly solves a problem that I've been having with Titanfall 2 is that I'm not good enough anymore. I can't fucking fight these pro level 10th prestige guys who are just beasting across the map like it's no other's business. I don't stand a goddamn chance anymore in like the basic competitive modes. So I'm always down for a cooperative mode in which we just can all be friends together. So, honestly,
that's a good
cool.
point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point because I was running into a similar thing as you. I was struggling. I play and I was just losing a lot. That was one of the reasons why I stopped. I remember one of the last days that I played the multiplayer, I'd lost just a bunch of games. And now to be fair, that happens in every game. It happens in Overwatch, and I think I'm average in Overwatch. But yeah, I'm excited for this. Excited for some good old fashioned co-op action. I haven't actually played a co-op game in a very long time. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't even remember the last cooperative game I played. Probably Helldivers, but I played Helldivers mostly solo. Because mostly people I played with were incompetent.
Okay, granted, that's kind of the charm of Helldivers is watching people kill themselves with their own freaking their drop pods.
This is true. This is true. But going from one co-op game to another co-op game, we got some footage of Monster Hunter. So they showed off a bunch. They showed off all the weapons, all 14 weapon classes, and it looks quite impressive. It was weird. I'm really curious to get your thoughts on this because like for me, I don't know what was a returning weapon. I don't know what was a returning weapon, what was a current weapon, but like,
What it seems they've done is that most of the weapons they've announced are all returning. Like these are all classics, like sword and shield, gun lance. The one that you're calling the bagpipes is actually hunting horn. That's what it's officially called. The what was it? Lance, katana. These are all returning weapons, but with some slight differences to them with certain combos and styles. Like there's
oh,
one that seems to be like you make an air slash with the katana, which looks super freaking dope. And katana's my favorite weapon to use in that game, so I'm very very excited to try that out. But it seems like it's a combination of like a lot of the move sets are the classic move sets that people have gotten used to. They know how they work, so they're really good at comboing them with just slight little tweaks and variations to them, which I think is
yeah,
a good way to handle it so that old players aren't going, oh god, now I've got to learn this completely new system, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, I was just watching the trailer and it was hilarious because okay, now this is actually a trailer. This dude, he because the Monster Hunter Twitter, they released like short 30-second videos for all the weapons, and this one guy goes online and he put it all together into one big video. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I'm watching the video, and every like, okay, so the dual blades come up, and I'm like, oh wow, the dual blades, they look pretty cool. Maybe I'll use those. Then the longsword comes on. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll use that. Then the hammer comes on. I'm like, okay, definitely the hammer. Then the bagpipes come on, and I'm like, for sure the bagpipes. And then the gun lance comes on, and I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. Then the switch, I'm like, oh my god, this switch axe is insane. That's the one with the shield it
Yeah.
has a shield and a sword, and then you can combine them into. I was like, oh my god, that is so cool. Then the charge blade comes on, and I'm like, oh my god, that is so cool. So yeah, that was the whole trailer for me. Now,
Yeah.
when it got to the projectile weapons, I was like, okay. Now I can calm down a little bit because these are a little less hype. But
Honestly, like the projectile weapons, they actually look so much more fun to use than in comparison. I think the projectile weapons they seem to have changed the most in comparison to how they worked in the old Monster Hunter games. Because one of
okay,
the
the bow looks awesome.
yeah, bow looked great. Bow gun looks so much more improved because you know what the big thing about the bow gun that was always a problem is that you couldn't move and shoot.
Ah,
So that was always an issue where you kind of position yourself and you'd be like bam bam bam, and then you'd have to basically move to another location and go bam bam bam. So you couldn't really move and shoot. So the fact that there's a little bit more mobility options with the bow guns, I think is going to be really it's going to make them a lot more fluid to work with. But overall, all the weapons they showed looked really cool, and yeah, I'm so excited to see your excitement over the weapons because that's one of the highlights of Monster Hunter is getting to try out all these different weapon combos. And there's my Alex, who's been on the podcast before. He always talks about his favorite moment was when he knocked a Rathalos out of the sky with a jump attack.
okay.
And it's kind of amazing when you get to do something like that, or the gun lance weapon that has that giant explosion.
Yeah.
So I had a moment. There's a monster in this game called I don't know if it's gonna be in this game, but it's in the series called Diablos, and it's basically a giant bull like dragon, right? And basically it's known for having these deadly charging attacks that will almost like sometimes one shot kill you. That's how
Mm.
powerful they are. And basically, I had a moment where I had the gun lance. I charged up the shot, and the Diablos was just charging towards me, and I shot the explosion right before it was about to hit me, and it knocked it prone on its side. And it's
Mm.
those little moments that make the game so much fun to play. So,
Okay. Okay.
very excited, very excited. I'm glad they showed off all the weapons.
Yeah. They look good. They look up. Shit, there was something I was going. Oh yeah. So how tied to your class are the weapons? Can you just like try out every weapon?
Yes. See, this is why I think they are going. I think they're putting away the old class system, and I think it's just going to be basically no matter what armor you're wearing, you can basically try any weapon.
Okay.
And so basically, like I think they showed a video of somebody who's starting out with like a hammer and then switching to like a bow gun mid quest. So I think they're taking away the limited you can bowgun users can only use certain bowgun weapons, and blade masters can only use blade weapons. So now I think it's just free reign of using any weapons you want to use.
Okay, that's good because that's one of the things that it would suck if because that's one of the things that I love Bloodborne, but that's one of the things that I actually really disliked about Bloodborne. And it made sense, but at the same time it did suck because I'm like, okay, there's all these awesome weapons in the game and I can't use any of them. So I'm locked into two weapons, because my class will only allow. There's a bunch of weapons I never got to use in Bloodborne because I just didn't feel like building another character.
Yeah.
To like the worst one for me was the katana because like you build an entire character for the katana and then the katana is a late game weapon. So you spend most of the game playing without the weapon that you built this character for.
Right. See, that's the weird thing about Monster Hunter is that Monster Hunter, there's no stats. Like, okay, let me explain. It's a little bit weird. So, you know how in Bloodborne you're leveling up your blood tinge, your strength, your dexterity, or whatever?
Yeah.
What you're upgrading is your gear. Your gear is the stats that you bring into the quest. So basically, if you're wearing full Raytheon armor, your stats are you have like this much defense, you have this much resistance to fire, you have this negative resistance to thunder. So you take more damage with thunder attacks, and that's how the stats usually work for the Monster Hunter game. So there's no like leveling. Instead of like leveling up your character like level 1 to 3 to 6 to whatever, it's you're leveling up your gear so that you can fight the tougher monsters and not get just one-shotted.
Okay. Oh, one last thing, because we should probably move on from this. I do think that there are some classes because I was just double checking the official Monster Hunter channel, and the trailers are broken into three: technical weapons, heavy weapons, and light weapons. And then a couple. There's probably going to be like a class for projectiles. I'm trying to check. Yeah, there's probably a fourth class for like projectiles. But yeah, so maybe there is still going to be some kind of restrictions on them. We'll see. But yeah, looks absolutely amazing. I'm excited.
Cool. So we got some more exciting news.
I was really curious to see how you're going to segue off that my statement there, but yeah, please continue.
Well, we got Frank West, Nemesis, and Spider-Man revealed for MVC 1. God damn it, MVC Infinite. I can't even get through this fucking part.
So yeah, okay. I just want to get the good out of the way first. So Nemesis actually looks amazing. I mean, they copy pasted his model from Resident Evil 3, and then Ultimate vs. Capcom 3, but he looks really good. The textures on his skin look disgusting in a good way, right?
Yeah, because that's what they're supposed to look like. Yeah.
Looking at Nemesis, and then looking at Jeddah, and then looking at like Ultron and Thanos, it makes me feel like the MVCI engine is just really bad at rendering human skin. Because you look at every character other than Rocket Raccoon, who I stand by my statement that this dude has rabies. Other than Rocket Raccoon, no other character, all the characters that look bad are humans, or you have human. Even Iron Man, when he opens up his mask, Tony's face just looks off. So I really think that the engine, they just picked a really bad engine for rendering human skin.
Yeah.
But
I remember. It's funny you say that because I heard a bunch of people complaining about Iron Man's face. Apparently, his face is just a disaster.
It's just off. It's not like horrible. It's not like Chun-Li. Quick digression, actually. I was looking at an article for Street Fighter V. This is an old article. And then someone in the comment section is like, "Oh my God, what did they do to Chun-Li's face?" And I'm like, ha! You complain about this Chun-Li's face. If only you knew. If only you knew. I would kill to have this Chun-Li in MVCI. Oh, yeah. Sorry, there's one more character that they revealed, and that's Mike Hagar. I forgot to add him to the list because he's so forgettable. But yeah, the characters look, I don't know what to say. They look like they're Marvel vs. Capcom 3 versions. Like Nemesis looks exactly like his version from Marvel 3. His level 3, they literally copied and pasted the animations from 3. They added a poison effect to the end of the level 3, and they probably like changed some well, they hopefully changed some what's the word, some attributes, so maybe he can combo off it or he can combo into it, because he had one of the worst level 3s. And Nemesis was a terrible character in Marvel 3. For the record, Frank West actually looks. They made some changes to him. They gave him a tripod, which sounds like a weird addition to a character. But the thing with Frank West in Marvel 3 was that you had to level him up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a really interesting mechanic. So if you do like a 10-hit combo and then you take a picture, you combo into a picture, you get 10 experience points, and then he leveled up based on how many experience points you got. So there's a bunch of really cool shenanigans you can do to level him up, and then once you get like 50 experience, you got to level 5, and he became like one of the best characters in the entire game.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of shenanigans you had to do to level him up, and now they've added more ways to level him up, it seems, with the tripod being one of them. So like I saw him place the tripod down and then do the combo, and in the middle of the combo he got a level. So I'm assuming that the tripod works like an actual tripod would work under those circumstances, which I thought is cool. He also got a level 3. He got a brand new level 3 that levels him up immediately. So if he hits you with a level 3, he goes straight to level 5. So I thought that was cool. They showed off the new stone. I forget what it's called. Doesn't actually matter. The V skill, because I can't remember what they're actually supposed to be called. The V skill is like it stuns the opponent. And then, hey, Capcom aren't putting effort into this game. Why should I?
Why should? Yeah. We could just. I like the idea. It's like we're not gonna put any effort into this discussion about Infinite because Capcom sure as hell didn't. Exactly
right. And V-Trigger gives you full bar, so I'm like that. Okay, that's pretty cool. You know, it's different from the other ones because I like the fact that each V-Trigger is feeling unique to itself. Some of them just seem much better than others. The Power Stone V-Trigger looks like shit, but you know we'll see. We'll see. This is still really early, and yeah, like I said, all the characters they changed Spider-Man's level 3. He didn't have a level 3 in Marvel 3. That's another thing that I've noticed with this game is that I think every character has a level 3 now. So here's the thing with level 3s is that I don't know if they're changing this in this game, but like level 3s are cinematic. So you can't. I'm assuming here that the reason why they're giving every character a level 3 is because of the combo breaker mechanic, right?
Right.
So in the old game, some of the level 3s weren't cinematic. So theoretically, you would have been able to break out of them in this game. So I think that's the reason why they're making all of them cinematic in this game. It kind of sucks though because I liked some of the creativity. Okay, that's not true. Ignore what I was about to say.
Okay.
Spider-Man's level 3 is pretty cool actually because it borrows from the Sam Raimi. It has a cool Easter egg where so Spider-Man hits you with a couple combos, then a couple of the Green Goblin things, the little bombs, they fly towards you, and then there's that scene in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man where like Green Goblin throws a couple at Spider-Man and then he jumps like right through them. I don't know if you remember the scene.
I remember that, yeah.
So yeah, that scene they pretty much just copied that scene and put it in this game, which I thought was pretty cool. That's another, you know, not to get too in depth with this. That's one of the numerous issues I've had with this game. Another issue I've had with this game is like the complete lack of any Easter eggs, right? One cool thing with Marvel 3 was the game was chock full of Easter eggs. You know, like opening round interactions. If you have Captain America as your point character and Iron Man as your point character, they said something specific to each other. And there was a bunch of interactions like that in the game. There were specific interactions for if you beat specific characters. It was cool. There's a lot of Easter eggs, and I don't see as many in this game, so it's cool to see one finally. But all in all, it's MVC Infinite. What more can you say?
I mean, like, honestly, I will say this, is that, like, I feel like the game looks better on certain maps. Like, I feel like the maps that were on the demo, like the story demo that came out, really didn't help make the characters look really good. It probably did more damage, but, like, when they were fighting on that Monster Hunter map, it felt like it popped a little bit more. And I felt like it looked better. Not necessarily great, but it looked certainly a lot better than it initially did. But like I said, like as much as I think that they you know these characters are interesting, I think the biggest problem is that right now the most interesting newcomer to me is Monster Hunter because I don't know how the hell that's going to work.
I'm actually really interested. Honestly, I'm really curious to see. I'm actually kind of excited for Monster Hunter, which is
Mm-hmm.
probably a mistake because this is Capcom and they'll find a way to disappoint me. He'll probably just be shit. I'm trying to think of a character that can copy and paste from Marvel 3 that they haven't done. He'll probably just be Sentinel.
Well,
Copy paste.
here's the thing. Like, the thing about Nameless Monster Hunter is, like, as you saw in the trailer that we just talked about, the Monster Hunters use all these different weapons. So, I would love if this just said, fuck it. This Monster Hunter has all the weapons, and every move is a different thing. Like, he has a projectile, like, he pulls out a bow. His down, maybe he's got a high attack that's like a jump with the great sword or something like that. Like, that would be really, really cool. And I think that's the part of the issue is that there's so many interesting ideas. It's like, oh, how is that going to work? Because we haven't seen that yet. And the problem is that because a lot of these characters are all returning, it's like we already know how most of these characters are going to function for the most part.
That's another really good point. Is that there's so few characters that I'm like, oh my god, I'm really curious to see. Even Gamora, who I was originally excited for, after seeing gameplay of her, she's a Frankenstein combination of like Deadpool and a couple of other characters. She's not anything new, which was really disappointing. If I'm being, but that's Marvel vs. Capcom in a nutshell. But yeah, if I had to guess for Monster Hunter, I'd say he probably because what you're describing is pretty much exactly what they did with Dante. So if I had to guess, I'd say that I can't imagine they do that twice. So I'd imagine he'd be like Amaterasu and he'd just be a stance character. They'd probably pick like I don't know if there's like 3 really popular weapons from.
I would say it would be bowgun, great sword, and it's hard. It's hard to say because I know some people fight over whether or not dual blades or katana. But great sword is the most iconic. Like great sword is the one that it's on most of the covers. So
100%. If
yeah.
he's in this game, he's going to have the great sword.
Yeah.
That's like even when because prior to me watching all this trailer, I didn't know about all the extra weapons in Monster Hunter. When I thought of Monster Hunter, when they showed the trailer at Sony's E3, I wasn't sure what game it was until I saw someone walk by with a gigantic sword on their back, and I'm like, that's either Cloud or Monster Hunter. And considering this is from Capcom,
I think it narrows the list a bit.
yeah. But yeah. If I had to guess, I'd say he'd be a stance character, similar to Amaterasu, and they'd probably just give him like one projectile, the great sword, and a third weapon. They'd probably give him one heavy weapon, a projectile weapon, and a technical weapon, and that would be how it go. But let's see. Odds are he's probably going to be shit and boring and completely disappointing because that's what Marvel vs. Capcom. Because that'd be the perfect analogy for Marvel vs. Capcom.
That's a pretty perfect analogy. And speaking of disappointing. You go and take this away.
It has not been a fun week to be for us. So remember how they announced at Evo that the Dragon Ball Z beta was going to sign-ups were going to start on the 26th of July. Well, it's been delayed. They were like, oh, it's going to be delayed slightly. I'm like, oh, okay, let me see when it's coming. When it's coming, August 22nd. So it's been delayed by like a month. Now, the reason for the delays are good if they're true, right? They were like that, and, I don't see any reason why they'd lie. I see a bunch of reasons, but whatever. I'm choosing to be
optimistic,
Yeah. So, they were like that. They didn't anticipate the kind of response that they were getting, right? And this part I know is true because a lot of people who were at Evo and E3 have said as much that they spoke to the developers and the developers were like, "Dog, we weren't expecting people to be this excited about this game. I'll be completely honest." With you. So they were like they weren't expecting this level of enthusiasm. So what they're trying to do is that if they did the beta on the 26th, they wouldn't have been able to accommodate as many players as they're anticipating will want to sign up for it. So they're like, they're going to level up their infrastructure. However, it's going to take extra time. So it's gonna get pushed to the 22nd. Honestly, I don't mind the delay. The issue, I wouldn't have minded the delay if it wasn't for the fact that the beta is during school. That was the one thing I didn't want. I was praying that the closed beta happened in August, not because I don't mind waiting. It's a closed beta. I wasn't even expecting to have a closed beta at all, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind the wait. For me, it's just that when the closed beta comes out, I won't be able to play. Period. Okay, I probably won't be able to play. The other disappointing news is that it's only 2 days. So the 16th and the 17th. I was hoping for at least a week. Um, it's only 2 days, and then to make it even more disappointing, now this is still subject to change, but right now I'm gonna set my expectations as low as possible. It's only going to be for specific times during those days. So altogether, the closed beta is going to be active for maybe 10 hours in those 2 days, which sucks because, let's be real here, this is a closed beta, so there's going to be connectivity issues. It's not like you're going to be able to be playing for those whole 10 hours. You're going to spend at least 2 hours looking at a loading screen. And then some of these times is going to be odd times, 2 in the morning or something like that. So yeah, honestly, this just killed all my anticipation for the closed beta.
It's now, I can understand your disappointment and it's completely warranted. But for me, when I see this, I'm like, this is still the smartest decision they could possibly make.
Yeah.
Because, and simply put, because I can think of 2 examples. One, when you think back to when SF5 had their beta, it was a fucking nightmare because everyone was jumping on, no one could get a match, and it's like, and they knew that was a really popular game at the time. So even with that knowledge, they still couldn't have a smooth beta. Even with that, but it's Capcom. Sure, you can always blame it on them, but that was one example. But another example that makes me think of is the recent example. I don't think we ever talked about this on the podcast, but there was a game that came out Friday the 13th, right?
Oh yeah.
And when that game came out, the biggest problem was that they initially thought that they were going to have maybe 25,000, maybe 30,000 people on day one, right? Because it's an online only game, right? And when the game launched, there were 75,000 people day one. So the fucking game was just a clusterfuck because people could not connect because the servers were literally lighting on fire. So I can see the people making Dragon Ball FighterZ going oh shit, we didn't think this was going to be as popular as we expected. We don't have the infrastructure to handle this many people that we are now expecting to be coming. Because I think I can guarantee you that the people who were making Dragon Ball FighterZ, they thought that the game was going to be popular. Sure, there's a Dragon Ball name, but there's a certain level of appreciation that the fighting community as a whole is giving this game that's drawing a lot of people in. And it's drawing people that aren't even really into fighting games. It's drawing people in who are just into cool shit, cool anime fighting, shit. And a lot of people, Dragon Ball is super nostalgic. You can compare it to Pokemon in some ways. So I have to give them credit to it at the very least. Them delaying it is absolutely the smartest decision they could have made.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm not upset with them for doing this. Like I said, if their reasoning is true, then I completely respect this decision because I'm the one who's always criticized people for releasing things too early. Yeah. So I'm not gonna be two-faced here. I'm not upset with the decision. I'm just disappointed because it's not looking like I'll be able to play the closed beta. I don't even because first of all, I was worried that I won't get in. Even if I get in, it's not looking like I'll be able to play it a whole lot. One positive in all this sea of shit is that because the closed beta has been pushed so much farther back, because I'm assuming that the closed beta was going to be in August, but they pushed it back by a month. Now they said that there is a chance that we might get more characters in it. So probably 18, because I'm actually surprised 18 wasn't in the original closed beta. Yeah. So if I had to guess, if we do get a new character for it, this is going to be after Gamescom. So fingers crossed we get a new character at Gamescom. So if we do get a new character, it's probably gonna be 18 if I absolutely had to guess. So probably. So yeah.
Going on, and this is actually a good segue because I was thinking about this, is that the reason why I wanted to bring up, taking your time and delaying things and making sure that everything will go smoothly as possible. We're gonna talk about the Pokemon Go Legendary event. So they decided to have this very wonderful event in Chicago in which they were going to reveal Lugia for Pokemon Go as a legendary Pokemon, and it would basically be everyone gets together, throws their Pokeballs at Lugia, and then you all work as a team to capture Lugia. And there would be other Pokemons. It was supposed to be like a Pokemon Go centric event. and it got live streamed, and it was a fucking disaster. Everything that could have possibly gone wrong went wrong, because basically, one, it was a super hot day. There were lines, like giant ass lines, to try and get into this park so that people could pull out their phones to play Pokemon Go. And guess what? People used digital tickets, right? Guess what was happening? The digital tickets weren't working properly. So you would get these super crazy long lines. And it's a bunch of really, really tired, pissed off people waiting in line, and the line's just not moving. And even when they finally got in, they're like, okay, fine, the line fucking sucked, but hey, it's gonna be aces from here. They try and connect to the game, and there's something wrong with the radio tower, and it's just not connecting. Like, nothing is almost no one at this Pokemon Go centric event could actually connect to the game properly. And it was hilarious because people were showing cuts, like it's like they were trying to do interviews with people there. It's like, oh, how are you? What's your favorite Pokemon? It's like, well, it would be Squirtle. I would show you, but the game's not working.
Oh my
god! And bottles were thrown. This was footage of this was shown, because basically you got a bunch of like 20-year-olds getting fucking pissed off, and because some people flew out to Chicago for this event, and this is like the biggest waste of time imaginable. And of course, this is another big thing. The people who went on stage to kind of like, they were meant to be people who are supposed to say they're like 10 things and they get off stage, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they weren't addressing the problem made people more angry. It's basically, how is everybody doing? Chicago! It's like, you can't handle that kind of situation like that, because it just gets people super irritated, because it's basic. It comes off as like you don't give a fuck. That the people.
Oh, this is fine.
Yeah,
this is fine.
That's basically what it comes off as. And there's a point in the stream that was hilarious. One of the ladies is trying to talk, and the crowd is just going, "It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work." And I feel so bad for some of them, because it's like, they can't do anything, and it was just a debacle. Like, it reminded me a lot of like the Sonic 25th anniversary stream. That was just a fucking disaster. Except this one was much, much worse, because at the very least, people got some cool stuff at the 25th anniversary of Sonic. Here, nobody got anything at all.
To be fair, what I read was that the developers, they gave away, first of all, they refunded everyone's tickets. I mean, that's a fat lot of good it'll do to the guy who flew from Miami to Chicago for the event. But hey, you know what? It's $30. And then I think, and unfortunately, I cannot find the article that I read this in, but I'm pretty sure they gave the legendary away to everyone who showed up.
I think that's what they did. I think they gave away a bunch of free legendaries.
And then they gave away the in-game currency thing too. So they gave away a bunch of free stuff because, well, it was a shit show.
Yeah.
It was an absolute shit show, and they should be ashamed. That is unacceptable.
And this is a perfect example. This is why you do stress tests.
Yep.
Like this is something that needs to be. This is bigger than a lot of just this event. This is something that spreads to all multiplayer games or online games or stuff like that. You need to properly do stress tests. If you're going to have a huge event, you need to prepare for a lot or even more people. Because if everyone hits that server at the same fucking time, it better work, because you're going to have even a ton of people who are going to be pissed. So it's unfortunate that it went the way it did. But there was some hilarious moments in that stream. I highly recommend, if you want to watch a 10-minute cringe fest, just look up the supercut, because I think the thing that made it so funny is that the directing of the stream was they wanted to get shots of the crowd happy, playing the game, and there's these just long drawn out shots of people just hitting their phones, and you could hear them just saying underneath their breath, it doesn't work, it just keep pressing the button, it doesn't work. So yeah. I guess we'll know for next time.
Yeah.
You give them that.
Yeah. One developer that's trying to get it right the first time. Yeah, I guess that was the
Ooh,
segue.
yeah, good segue. This is a podcast of decent segues. We're
Yeah,
doing
the
it.
podcast. Decent segue. Yeah, so Blizzard have finally given us some concrete details about the Overwatch League. So first and foremost, they revealed the first 7 teams that'll take part in season one. So the teams are based in cities. So it's Boston, New York, Miami, San Francisco, LA, Shanghai, and Seoul. I probably spelled that incorrectly, and I probably pronounced it even worse. But the there's a bunch of actual big names here. So I think the Boston team was bought by the owner of the New England Patriots. The New York team was bought by the New York's Mets guy. The Miami team was bought by the owner of Misfits. So as you can probably imagine, Misfits is going to be the team for Miami. And it's a decent list. It's weird though. It's completely lacking in European representation. There's no European teams. So hopefully these aren't the only teams that the league is launching with. Hopefully we get at least like 14 if they're going for an even number, or 15 if they're going for an odd. Hopefully we get at least that. But the first season they're all going to be playing out of LA. But the plan is for all these teams. As the league grows, each city will get its own arena, and then teams can play there and stuff. We saw a little preview of what localized Overwatch can look like. So the Overwatch World Cup is happening right now, and a bunch of matches were happening in Australia last week, and obviously the Australian team played there. And it was pretty exciting. The crowd got in. You could actually hear the crowd. The crowd got into it. The arena was packed. And I was like, obviously that's not a good representation, because it's like, okay, this is like once in a year type thing. Whereas with the Overwatch League, it'll be like, once every week, I think. So, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's a good start. It's a good start. They also gave us info on the contracts. So, the first and most people would say most important thing is the minimum salary. So there's going to be the minimum salaries in the Overwatch League, and it will be $50,000 for a year, as well as health insurance and retirement saving plans. Then the players will receive 50% of the team's performance-based incomes. So any winnings from the first season's $3.5 million prize pool. The league is opening official player signing window for season one from the 1st of August to the 30th of October. Although I can pretty much guess what a lot of these teams' rosters is going to look like based on based on history. Rosters must be 6 to 12 players. So you can have subs, but you don't have to. There's gonna be housings, and the housings will housing and practice facilities, which will meet professional standards set by the Overwatch League. End quote. The Overwatch League will launch later this year. So I'm probably gonna guess. If I absolutely have to guess, I'd say it's gonna launch probably after BlizzCon. So we're probably looking at a late November, early December launch date for the league. There was one last thing. Oh, yeah. So Blizzard is going to introduce these in-game things that we can buy, and then a percentage of the money generated from those in-game, probably cosmetics, like maybe special loot boxes or something like that. A percentage of the money made from those loot boxes is going to be going to the prize pool that the players can win. So all in all, Blizzard has done everything right, in my opinion. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
No, everything you've described, I'm like, okay, no, this sounds good. Like, they're properly insured. They're going to have places that they can train. It won't have to be a fucking PC cafe in buttfuck nowhere. And I feel like this is probably the best way that they could have handled it. So I have to give Blizzard credit, because it's everything you said and described sounds like it sounds like good. It sounds professional. It sounds like they're really trying to make this work properly. I think it makes me think of like the League of Legends and how they handle certain things to a certain extent. and it looks like this is going to topple that structure a bit. So I'm very, very interested to see when this launches fully. Because I know League, as far as like how big of a community it is, League of Legends, as far as like people can go to see the draft days, people go to see like with the big events like the World Championships and whatnot. So I'm very curious to see if Overwatch can reach that level of what League had attained, for a very, very long time. So that's where I'm very, very curious about, is that will it reach that level? Because like, are we gonna reach like stadium levels of friggin' like that? What was that one? I think it was season 4 of League, in which they had a full like just baseball diamond sized stadium that was just full of people. Like, it was crazy.
I think it's. I mean, you look at Street Fighter 5 at E3 at Evo, and they. I mean, if you look at it, you can actually see empty seats in the arena. But if Street Fighter 5 can pull that many people for its second year, despite all the negative press surrounding the game, despite the game being a PS4 exclusive, and despite Capcom being completely incompetent, I feel like yeah. I mean, obviously this is going to take time, and I think that is the key. And I hope Blizzard realized this. I hope the impression I've gotten is that Blizzard is playing the long game here, which is what you have to do with a league like this. The NBA isn't because that's what they're aiming for, right? If you look at the logo, the MLB actually sued them for the logo. Well, the MLB was considering taking legal action against them for the logo, and then they realized that they were full of shit, and they pulled back on that. But you look at all these leagues, and this stuff didn't happen overnight. So I like the fact that for the first season they're not building arenas for every single team. All the teams are going to be based out of Los Angeles. And hopefully they do that for like the first couple of seasons. And then as the league becomes better, more and more self-sustainable, they can expand and stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you can make an esport if the game is only relatively successful, you can make it work. For God's sake, Smite is a successful esport, and it's not even the third most popular MOBA. Maybe it is the third most popular MOBA now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. It's probably number 3. But yeah, like Smite is not even remotely as popular as Overwatch, right? And it has a very, very successful, from what I hear, esports scene, right? So like, if this fails, it'll be because of incompetence, not because of popularity. So Blizzard, hopefully Blizzard pull that through. The one thing that has me a little skeptical. Well, I don't want to say skeptical. The one thing that I still want to, I'm trying to understand is how this is going to affect the smaller teams, right? Because it has to affect the teams that don't make it into the Overwatch League, right? So are they going to have to? Are there still going to be small tournaments happening? Because like right now, there's no tournaments happening anymore. There's no Overwatch tournaments happening anymore because of the Overwatch League, because people aren't sure what is going to happen, right? So right now, the only tournaments that are happening are officially Blizzard sanctioned tournaments and Apex in China. I want to say China. Whatever. Apex. It's an Asian tournament. Yeah. They're the only tournaments that are happening right now. So a bunch of teams have disbanded. A bunch of teams don't practice anymore. People are just sitting around not doing anything, right? So hopefully once the league gets started, then all the other smaller tournaments, the grassroots tournaments, can come back, because those tournaments were really good for smaller teams to sort of like showcase themselves, right? The NPSs and your C9s and these guys, they'll always be set. They're probably going to be they're probably going to be mainstays in the Overwatch League. But like the smaller teams, you guys get paid. Ninjas in pajamas. Oink oink. There goes the boink. All those smaller teams with the really original names. Hopefully there's still a market for them. So that's the one thing that I need to know, and then like I'll be, because that's the one thing that has me a little skeptical right now. But I feel confident. I think Blizzard will do the right thing. They shot the bed with StarCraft, and I hope they learned their lesson.
I think they, from what they've shown so far with this, I think they have learned their mistakes with StarCraft, and I think they're going to really push this correctly. But yeah, no, that's pretty much the Overwatch League. So we got to wrap up with our questions of the day from the wonderful J Streets.
Good up, J Streets.
And his first question is what he asked us last week, but basically, what can Bethesda, EA, Capcom, and Activision do to get back in your good graces, or is it even possible? Do you want me to take first swing?
Yeah, you take first.
Okay. Bethesda. Okay, well, Bethesda. What Bethesda needs to do is that they just need to stop fucking up, because they have good titles that they can, push. They just need. They need to market their games a little bit better. Their E3 press conference, I personally think, was a fucking disaster. I really didn't like it. I didn't care for it, and I felt that them announcing paid mods there was a huge mistake. But I think what Bethesda needs to do is that going forward, they need to push the new IPs, or they need to push their strong titles. Right now, I think
Like
the
Skyrim.
like Skyrim. Okay, so here's the big thing that I think Bethesda needs to do. One, they need to stop fucking selling Skyrim. The moment they stop selling Skyrim to me, I'll actually start paying attention a little bit more. The second thing that they need to do is that even though I know VR is a big deal to a lot of people, you don't need to focus solely on VR as heavily as you are currently doing. I don't know. I don't mind there being like a maybe one spin-off VR game on the side, but like there doesn't need to be this much of a focus on VR, because VR is still not affordable to people. So, and this is the case. But that's what I think Bethesda needs to do. They just need to kind of refocus what they were about, which was these really good sandbox games, and instead of trying to make VR experiences, because I don't really think that that's their niche. EA, I really have nothing to say about EA at this point, considering how badly they fucked me with Mass Effect Andromeda, and how much I hate Anthem because of it. So I'm not even going to even bother with EA. EA is a fucking nightmare that I don't think can really be solved until somebody with good competence and good, like, customers, I don't know what the word is, but just, customer appreciation, I suppose, takes over EA and brings it to the light. But at this point, I do not see EA changing in the slightest. Capcom's interesting because I know Capcom's the one that you shit on the bed for the most part. I think what Capcom needs to do is take what they've learned with Infinite, the negative press from Infinite, the negative press from Street Fighter V. What they need to do is that they need to launch these games. They need to keep these games in the oven a little bit longer. That's what I think Capcom needs to do more. Because, like, if Street Fighter V had been delayed, and the story mode came with that game, or there was an arcade mode, like, that game wouldn't have gotten as bad of a press as it did when it came out, right? I personally believe that. And with Infinite, what they needed to do was they needed to delay the game, or at least I think they need to delay the game, and they need to rework the roster along with a bunch of other things, right?
Yeah.
But the roster is a big deal to me, and that's something that can be fixed. Because I think what they're doing is that they're having a bunch of new characters set aside for the DLC, and I think what they need to do is they need to take those new characters and switch them out. Switch some of the current roster out for those new characters, because we really need to see something more creative from them.
Yeah.
So that's what I really... Sorry, what were you going to say?
Real quick, if I could just interject. It's funny that you mentioned that you think that they should delay Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, because when I read the article about the DBZ beta getting delayed, this one dude in the comment section is like, oh, look at the double standard. If this was Capcom that was delaying Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, everybody would be getting mad. And then people are responding like, dude, literally everyone that's been criticizing this game has been saying that it should be delayed. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like it's the reverse. It's like if honestly, if Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite got delayed, we would be happy. We would be ill happy, because it's like literally more time in the oven. You can fix out the kinks. You can take player feedback, which is a big deal. And I think that's what Capcom just needs to do. Is they need to keep their games in the oven a little bit longer and take customer feedback into account. So that's the big thing. Like, that's why I'm thinking, like, Capcom can certainly attempt to get our good graces back. Bethesda, absolutely. EA, not a fucking chance. And Activision, I think, is pretty much up there as well because of their particular practices they've just been doing for the longest time. And what they've done with Call of Duty especially is pretty goddamn disgusting.
Yeah.
So, as far as like the ones that I think can be saved, I think Capcom and Bethesda can certainly get back in our good graces, but EA and Activision, I do not think they can. But what do you think, Boaz?
Honestly, I'm a simple man, right? So like to answer this, the second question, is it even possible? Yes, it's possible. You know, the Quran, which is like the religious book of Muslims, it preaches forgiveness. So you know, I'm always open to forgiveness. For me, I'm a simple man. Just release a good game.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it for me, you know. Because like, here's the thing, Blizzard is technically Activision, right? Because they I mean they're partners.
Yeah, they're partners. You could argue that, but but
But
no,
yeah,
I know where you're coming from with that.
yeah, so for me, oh, I guess what I'm getting at is that, you know, if Overwatch had been an Activision game, I mean, I probably wouldn't have bought it at launch, from being completely honest. Because one of the only reasons why I bought Overwatch at launch was because they were like that everything is going to be free, and I was like, okay, I trust Blizzard when Blizzard says that. I wouldn't trust Activision if they said that. But yeah, just like release good games, you know. Persona 5, that's actually a perfect example. If Persona 5 was an EA game, would you not buy it?
That's a good question. Like, it's not really. Well, the question for me is it's not like if Persona 5 was an EA game. It's more that if would Persona 5 make it so that I would feel EA had earned my trust again. You know,
Mm,
that's where I'm seeing this question coming from, and that's
mm,
where I'm like, even if EA released a really fantastic game that let's say you know Anthem comes out, right?
yeah.
And it's a fantastic game, it's really well put together, it's a solid like 10 out of 10. I would still not have EA would not have gotten its good graces back with me because of their terrible practices.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm kind of like, a good game, if they release, if any of these companies release good games, that's a step forward in the right direction, but it's not enough for me. It's more the practices that need to be fixed.
Yeah. So I guess to answer the question, yeah, it really just comes down to they have to show me a string of good good
Yeah,
decisions. For
that's
example,
that's it. That's it.
yeah. So for example, with EA, Battlefront 2 is coming out, and they're saying that the DLC is going to be free. Well, okay, cool. You know, that's a good sign. That's a step in the right direction. Let's say after Battlefront 2 came out, Titanfall 2 came out, and all the DLC was free. I'm like, okay, cool. They say that after that comes out, Anthem comes out, and all the DLC is free except for maybe cosmetic stuff or something like that.
Hmm.
Okay. Then they announce a fourth game, Dragon Age 4 or 5, whatever number we're on now.
Four.
I'd be like, okay, you know what? Sure, I'll check this out because you know they've shown that they've changed some of the practices. Some of the things that make me apprehensive towards buying EA games, they haven't shown it in four consecutive titles. So I'm like, okay, sure, why not? Capcom is the same thing. Yo, I hated Street Fighter 5 and I was ready to buy Infinite, and then I looked at Infinite and it looked like shit. If Infinite looks good, I'd buy it. You know, like for all my shitty on Capcom, if Infinite actually looked like a fun game, I'd buy it. Okay, that's not true because Infinite does look like a fun game, and I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, like it's me. It's like it can't be just one game. You know, it has to be like a string of good games with good practices. Because if I see a trend, then it makes me think, okay, this is what you guys are gonna do moving forward. If I see one good game, I'm gonna be okay. That was a good first step, but are you going to immediately take 3 steps back on your next game? You know?
yeah. But like at my core though, you know, I will like if I see one good game that I really like, I will buy it. You know, even right now through all of this stuff that we're talking about, right? If Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite didn't look like shit and didn't have like a shit roster and you know wasn't locking the cool characters, the new characters behind DLC, I would buy it, right? Even though it's one game of Capcom reverting on their shitty customer practices. In fact, the best example here is Monster Hunter, right?
Yeah.
For all my shitting on Capcom, if you know, like, I'm keeping an eye on Monster Hunter, and if Monster Hunter comes out and it looks like it's not following any of the Capcom practices, I'll still buy it. So you know, yeah, like on one hand, yes, I won't trust Capcom, but they can still get my money for that one game. If they want to gain my trust back,
Yeah.
like proper, where they'll release a game and they'll make me a promise with the game. They'll be like, okay, buy this game, it's an investment. So I'll be like, over my dead body, I'm not investing in Capcom. But yeah, so they can still, like, all these companies can still get my money. But if they want to get my trust, it's pretty much exactly what you said. They have to do like a full year, maybe even like a year and a half, maybe even 2 years of just like good decision after good decision after good decision before I'll be like, okay, cool. I'm going to invest in an EA game. Ha! I can't believe I just said that out loud.
Yeah.
Even in jest. But yeah,
Yeah.
The other question is a little more lighthearted, and it I guess it ties into the last point a little bit. No, it doesn't. What am I talking about? Whatever. What guest stars would you love to see in the new DBZ fighter? You want to go first?
Sure. I would like Potemkin from Guilty Gear.
I didn't see that coming, if I'm being completely honest.
Honestly, like, it's Potemkin, I think, would be really, really fun. But honestly, I think just any Guilty Gear character. I think just a Guilty Gear character in general, I think would be cool. Just see them in the Dragon Ball Z. Imagine if fucking Baiken got in the game. Oh, that would be fucking rad.
Yeah, Baiken. People love them. I did not realize how popular Baiken was until she got released. People love her.
People,
oh my God.
I was listening to people talk about it, and that's basically like, people have been waiting for Baiken for years.
Oh yeah, there's people who held up on buying Guilty Gear because Baiken wasn't in. I thought Dizzy was the more popular one, but I'm starting to think Baiken is actually a lot more popular than Dizzy. But yeah, I'm gonna boomerang bounce, whatever. I'm going to go off what you said. And
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick two characters. The first one is Elfelt because I'm a filthy
Right.
Elfelt player. But not just that. Remember a couple podcasts ago I mentioned that I would like to see, what was her name? Launch. I would like to see Launch in the game because I feel like a gun wielder would lend themselves to a unique playstyle compared to all the Saiyans. Compared to all the Saiyans and stuff, right? So yeah, going off that, I feel like Elfelt would lend herself well. Now they'd have to, obviously, whichever character they're bringing in, they'd have to switch up the way they play, like, a lot. Like, Potemkin in this, I don't even know how you fit Potemkin in the game with a universal air dash and universal teleports.
This is true. Like, I guess that's the one thing about the hard thing about having guest characters, is because the guest characters have to kind of fit the aesthetic to a certain extent, because there's certain, like, Dragon Ball specific things that you can do in the game,
I mean, not necessarily, because I'm 100% sure that not every character that's going to come in the game is going to have access to all the universal mechanics. They've done this in all their games. You look at Guilty Gear, there's universal air dashes, unless you're playing Potemkin. There's universal dashes.
That's true.
Unless you're playing Potemkin. Guilty Blaze Blue. The other character I would like to see is Bang Shishigami. Bang is my favorite Blaze Blue character, hands down. Like, I love him so much. He's so much fun. He never stops talking, and you think it'd get annoying, but I actually quite like it. I find it quite endearing. And then he has his own theme song. Like when he has this move where you get these seals for doing this move. If you hit 4 of them, and then you spend your bar, you activate his super form, and then the theme of the stage changes, and it becomes his theme song. It's really fun. It's like bang 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 bang. That's the song.
That's
bang,
amazing.
Bang 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 bang. It's
okay.
like,
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Not gonna lie.
I'd be playing ranked matches. I kid you not. I'd be playing ranked matches with Bang. I'll just hit my 4 seals and activate. It's called Furin Kazan, and I just leave. I'd be like that. You know what? I've already won. You think you've won this game, but in reality, I am the winner here.
I like that.
Yeah, I actually love for Bang, and he'd fit in a lot better than Elfelt, but yeah, like just to piggyback. That was the word I was looking for.
Piggyback. Wow, it took you so long to find that word.
I'm really curious to see, and this is not related to the question at all. I'm really curious to see the characters that they introduce that don't use the system mechanics. Now, there's some things that I'm pretty sure are going to be universal. There's the tagging. If you're blocking, you spend 1 bar and you can tag in your other character out of block stun. It's standard in almost every versus game I've ever seen. those are probably going to be universal. But I'm almost 100% sure that the air dash is not going to be. The teleport is one that I'm almost 100% sure not every character is going to have, because there is going to be a grappler in this game.
Yeah,
and
no, absolutely.
Cannot give a grappler a teleport.
No, that would not work in the slightest.
I am yet to see a game that has given a grappler a teleport, and I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think we're going to start. But yeah. Awesome question.
Awesome question, J Streets. But yeah, if you got a question for us, don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll make sure to answer it in the next podcast. And as always, this is your host, Room Liberty, and
Boaz Muhammad Yusuf.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.